Allora, l'ultimo panel di main hall, prima della chiusura, che sarà la chiusura poi che facciamo tradizionalmente insieme sul palco come tutti gli anni, sarà verso le 17. L'ultimo panel è l'attesa sempre reputation. Quest'anno abbiamo un po' mischiato le carte, perché come avremo sul palco, e lo prego di arrivare, Mr. Benjamin Jost di Trust You. Hello Benjamin. Which accepted our invitation to be the host of Reputation in BTO this year. And we're gonna mix the cards. Cambieremo le carte. Perché l'interviewer non sarà l'intervistato, ma sarà l'interviewer più tardi Valentina 4 di TripAdvisor. Fra pochissimo. Prima lascio il palco a Benjamin. I leave you the stage.
Thank you.
It's all yours.
Thank you. Actually, Giancarlo thinks I'm going to talk about reputation. I'm not. I want to talk about influence. The good thing about influence is everyone wants to have influence. Reputation, I'm not so sure. I mean, you can have a good reputation or a bad reputation, but influence on something, having an impact, is something everyone wants. So I want to focus about influence. And you've heard Philip yesterday speaking about mission statements. Philip is on our board, and I tell you that is a lot of fun, but a lot of work as well. And he came up with us together with a mission statement, and he said, look, guys, you can talk about reputation and everything, but I think influence is something that you should focus on. And so we came up with a mission statement that we want to positively influence travelers' decision. That's Trust You's mission. And we focus on different areas. We work with destinations, we work with intermediaries like the TripAdvisors and the Kayaks and the Trivagos and the Booking.coms. And we work with suppliers, hotels, etc. So I want to focus this presentation on those different sectors in the industry, and I want to start with actually a traveler. To understand influence, you have to understand the social circle of trust. So, what is it? You have something that we call social media, and I assure you, social media is a topic. Now, when we talk about social media, someone talks about Facebook and Twitter, and then we talk about TripAdvisor, the review side, and then we talk OTAs. For me, it's all the same. It's social user-generated content, and wherever it happens, if it happens on Twitter, or it happens on Facebook, or it happens on Booking.com, or in TripAdvisor, or in Google, doesn't matter. It influences travelers. And those travelers, those users out there are influenced by whatever content they find that is user-generated. Now, based on that, they're making a purchase decision. They're making a booking decision. Can be a hotel, can be a destination where they want to go next. And then they become influencers. Some of these travelers are posting again online on these social media sites. And the circle continues, right? It's a circle. Now, if you understand this, you understand where you have to try to influence your travelers. So let's first talk about the travelers. And I just talked to TripAdvisor, and I said, I'm sorry, but I have a slide that actually shows that TripAdvisor is actually not the biggest review site out there. And I have to say, it's only for city hotels. It's not all the hotels in the world. But I just want to show you this, and it really doesn't matter if it's 33% or 32% or whatever. You shouldn't care. What you should care about is that actually it's not about one side anymore. It's about many, many different sides. So we just heard that Facebook has a review site, a review section in there. Booking.com actually is a very big review site. And people and users and travelers are basing their decisions on Booking.com or on TripAdvisor or wherever on the reviews they found online. Now, we all know that 96% and more are planning their search online. And we see a growing percentage of leisure travelers and also business travelers who use search engines, and that can be a Google, but that can be a Booking.com, that can be a destination site, or that can be a TripAdvisor to look for the next trip. 66% plan to invest more time researching, and they're looking for value for money. And value for money actually already tells it, it's quality and it's price. Now here's an interesting slide. So the blue bar is actually 2011, red is 2012, and green is 2013. And the question is, do you read online customer reviews to determine whether a local business is a good business? And we see yes regularly and yes occasionally, both of them are growing. So we see a trend that reviews have an impact more and more over the years, and it's growing, still growing. Another question, how do online customer reviews influence your decision to use and select a hotel or local business? Now again, blue 11, red 12, and green 2013. And here is a trend. No, I tend to select a local business based on another factor such as location and price. Location and price is less important over the years. Very interesting trend. Now I read reviews, but they don't influence my decision is a trend towards, from last year at least, going down. And positive customer reviews make me more likely to use this local business, again, going up. Now here's an interesting study. Some guys from SAS software. What they did, they asked, they took many users and travelers, and they said, here's a sample of hotels, and the goal was you should book the best 4-star hotel based on the parameters that we give you as an example. Now they said, the first thing was, okay, you have positive reviews, a price of $195, a high ranking, let's say a TripAdvisor ranking, a good score, and a known brand. So, and they said, okay, the influence factor is 1.95. You shouldn't care what the number is, but a higher number is a good number. So then they said, okay, choose another hotel, and now we increase the price dramatically, $100. So obviously, very clear, the factor goes down, so it's not so likely that it would choose this hotel. Now, what happens if the price would stay the same, and everything else would stay the same, but we'll give negative reviews in there instead of positive? Dramatic drop of this factor. So users won't book at all, even though the price would be the same. So you could have a $100 better or $100 more priced hotel, and you get a better chance that users and travelers will book your hotel than if you have bad reviews. So in other words, when they were asked, so what is the biggest impact on your decision? They said more than 80% said reviews. Only 45% said price. And again, it's not really about these numbers. What I want to bring across here is, if you have a strategy, and most of the strategies is about price, we know revenue management and price management, et cetera. So what's the best price that I offer? But we still don't get that it's even at least as important, but probably even more important, to focus on reputation and reviews. Now, sorry. The search shop buy experience looks like this. So you have a lot of, and in a growing base of travelers that look online and they search online. More than half of them read content of other travelers. 52% actually changed their original travel plans based on recommendations they read online. So it's not only about shopping around in, for example, one destination, so it's actually they read something interesting and they changed the plan based on what they read. And obviously, customer reviews on websites, on intermediaries, but also on brand.com websites or destination websites has a clear impact. At the end of the day, it's all about money. So everyone here, if you're a destination or hotel or intermediary, at the end of the day, you all want to earn money, and it's a clear path, whatever we look at, whatever trend we're looking at, that the better your reputation, the better your scores, the better your reviews are, the more bookings and the more revenue we'll generate. Now, destinations. Destination is a very interesting topic, and is a growing topic. A couple of years ago, when we talked about reputation, it wasn't really about destinations, right? It was about hotels and TripAdvisor. And that changed. So destination thought about their reputation as well and say, okay, maybe my overall reputation that I have as a destination has an impact on my destination has an impact on all these different local businesses, and maybe I should do something about it. Now, we partnered here in Italy with a company called Res, and we're very happy that we partnered with them. They know the market, they know the business very well, and what we did is we said, when we partnered, let's analyze all 22,000 hotels in Italy. Just look at every review on every source, on every site for 22,000 hotels. And we did that. So we came up with a score that's not for Italy only, but it's a global score, and that's what we call the trust score. Now, I'm telling you about the trust score because you have to understand a little bit about the trust score before you understand the rest of the presentation. Now, the trust score is based on date, meaning if someone has been writing a review a year ago, it has less impact on the overall score than a review that was written a day ago. So that's pretty clear. It's based on the individual reviews. So we're not looking at an overall score, but we're looking at each individual review, meaning you have a natural weighting. If you have 200 reviews on TripAdvisor and 5 reviews on Booking.com, it has a natural weighting that TripAdvisor reviews will have more impact. And then sentiment, so how good is the review? Is it a positive review or a negative review? Now with Rest, for the first 8 months, what we accomplished is we went through the Chamber of Commerce in Torino, and what they decided is we want to regularly monitor all our hotels in our region. Every hotel in a dashboard, and we get a monthly report out of it, how good we are benchmarking ourselves and how good we are benchmarking against other regions. And the next very interesting point is we partnered with a site bookingpiemonte.it, where they have a booking engine on their side. And their idea was, well, user reviews and rankings and ratings work for TripAdvisor and work for Booking.com. Why shouldn't it work for me as a site, as a destination site? So we'll put for every 1,200 hotels, we'll put the trust score and their overall rating on these sites so that travelers that come to the site get a feeling of the reputation of hotels. So it's a complete transparency, and you can imagine what happens in a destination where you have complete transparency. The bad hotels are not so happy about that complete transparency. The good hotels are very happy about that transparency. So the bad hotels have to work on their reputation. And CIA, the Italian Hotel Association, is starting to use Trusted to monitor all their member hotels. And that's a project that we just started with them. Now, I just want to give you some examples. Val di Sole, 85 trust score, very good. Madonna di Campiglio, sorry if I don't pronounce it correctly, an excellent score with 88 out of 100. Val di Fassa, 110 hotels that we analyzed there, an excellent score for their accommodations. Val di Fiemme, very good score still, not excellent. 45 hotels analyzed. Folgaria, a very good score, not that good than the others. So they have room for improvement. Dolomiti, very good score. And then we have Lake Garda, 96 hotels with a very good score, not excellent though. Trento, room for improvement. And that's a map of other cities in Italy. And you see some differences, right? Torino, pretty good, 89. Milano, 77, not that good. So if I would be Milano as a city, I would think about what we could do as a project for all the hotels in my region to just get better, so that if I'm a traveler, or if all of you are travelers and you want to decide where to go, obviously accommodation is a very important factor. And if you have an overall experience that is bad at an accommodation, I mean, that's bad for the whole destination. Now you can drill down, and that's interesting. I mean, you don't have to stay on the top level and say, okay, I'm a 77 or 82. What's interesting, what's possible with all the reviews and all the data that is out there, if you analyze it, you can actually see and slice and dice and see what's good and what's bad and what the users and the travelers are complaining about and what they like. So we see here internet, baths, bathroom, and furniture in Trentino has some room for improvement. I mentioned that before. It's not only about the destination where I'm based. It's also about competing destinations. And we actually started in Switzerland, and there was a Zurich that approached us, I think, 1.5 or 2 years ago and said, sorry, we know that Munich and Milano and 2 other cities are competitors of Zurich. We want to know how good we benchmark as Zurich as a city, and we want to know where we can improve. And they were pretty good in most of the areas, and number 1 or number 2. And they actually said, we want to be number 1 in every aspect. In every aspect. So in a year from now, so we were internally working with all our hotels to get to the number 1 positioning, and there was a huge press about it. And Zurich, actually, we can see now in the data that they improve step by step and month by month by fixing stuff where the travelers are complaining about. And I think it's the same what happens now in Italy. And then one level deeper is the actual hotel, the actual accommodation. So you can go in there and look at the actual hotels and who is performing good and who is not performing good. And those hotels that are not performing good, you can approach them and say, look, we have to work together to fix your operations because you're a part of our region, and as a region, we want to outperform. And I had yesterday with TripAdvisor, we can maybe talk later on, an interesting talk about also fake reviews and all these kind of things, and is there a problem or not a problem. If you think about a destination level, I mean, it would hurt now if you're a competitor hotel and you would write fake reviews to your other hotels. Maybe it's a short-term, you have some short-term benefits, but long-term, as a destination, for sure, you will lose. Now let's look at the intermediaries, because there are interesting trends in the intermediary world that I want to share with you. We realized that there is a need out there actually for another level of a review, and we call it the meta review. And the meta review is actually a summary of all the reviews that we found. So we've analyzed travelers' decision, how they want to decide. And there are some travelers out there that want to read review by review. But there are some travelers out there that just said, hey, if you would give me a summary and you would read all the 1,208 reviews for this hotel, and you give me a very quick summary for that, that would be fine for me. I don't have to read all of that, and because I have to compare and I have to shop around, so I don't have time for that. And if you think about mobile, and the next generation, where even on a little device, time and space is even more limited, you want something quick and easy to read, but you still want all the juicy details. So we came up with this meta review, and we integrated in a couple of great partners, intermediary partners out there. One is Kayak, and they said, well, we partner with Trusted because their technology helps to take the work out of finding, reading, and analyzing hotel reviews. And that's what you have to do as a traveler. Let's face it, right? You have to go to all these sites and have to read through all of that. And that's, as I said before, maybe it's good and maybe someone has time and do all of this stuff. But for many out there, it would help if we can get a summary and a digest out there. So we integrated this there. And if you go now to a Kayak, on every hotel, you will find these review summaries. And we measured it, and it has a great improvement on their site experience, and travelers love it. Now, we not only do this for American intermediaries, we partnered with Ixigo, biggest meta search in India, WeGo, biggest meta search in Asia, Hotel JP, biggest meta search in Japan, Hotel Look, meta search in Russia. Last Minute, it's not a meta search, an OTA in Germany. And more. And it's not only stops in these traditional OTAs or meta search, it goes on in GDS. Now, GDSs like Sabre, they approached us and said, couldn't we integrate your reputation summaries, your meta reviews into the GDS? And we said, sure, why not? And why did they do this? The Trust You Sim Red App provides incredible time saving for agents. So now not the travelers, but the agents actually, while giving them a global, comprehensive look at what travelers have said with one simple click. This allows agents to dramatically reduce research time on a hotel's reputation. Now, interesting, right? Now, reputation is not really only about suppliers, not only about destinations, but it's now about intermediaries and GDSs as well. And the great thing about this is it's language agnostic. I mean, you can put the meaning of the millions together in one structured summary, and once you have it structured, you can provide it in every language you want. So you're not limited to any language anymore, which is a pain point for many of these sites out there because, oh, I have only content in English or only content in Italian. Now we could provide every content for every hotel on the planet in Italian, for example, wherever you go. And the next phase, just to share with you what our thoughts are for what happens next. It will be applied for filtering as well. So you have now these themes, hotel themes, and when you analyze all the reviews, you know that people are talking about your property that is a good family hotel or perfect for a business trip or it's romantic or it's boutique. So it's based on user-generated content. And the next phase will be that this is a screenshot of a TripAdvisor filter where you click on family, and based on all the reviews written, you will get the best family hotels on top. So you, for a supplier, again, would be, what type of hotel am I, and where should I focus? Now, a brand.com, a hotel website, obviously is an intermediary as well. I mean, everyone wants to have bookings through the brand.com side. Now, we see the trend that more and more of these brand.com sites are putting their reputation on these sites as well. And sometimes it's a TripAdvisor, sometimes it's Trust You, sometimes it's Trust You and TripAdvisor. It doesn't really matter, but all of those suppliers, all of the brand.com sites, you have to think about what kind of reputation data do I want to offer to my travelers. There's another example where they actually put more than the trust score, but the meta reviews on the site as well. Engelberg is a ski region in Switzerland, very famous. MySwitzerland.com put it for every hotel that they have on their site. Same as Hôtellerie Suisse, the Swiss Hotel Association, for their sites. Every hotel has it. And you can imagine what happens, again, I was talking about transparency. What happens if you are so transparent and even your organization is putting out your reputation? And then there is a pressure coming towards the suppliers to actually work very hard on their reputation because now it's everywhere. Now let's look at the suppliers. So interestingly, we've been talking about the basics of reputation management. And one of the basics is to reply to a review. And I just heard the other day a very good example. Why should I reply? Someone asked, why should I reply to a review? And this person said, look, if there is a customer, a guest in your hotel, and he or she would walk towards the reception and would tell you how great the stay is and how wonderful, et cetera, or how bad everything was, and she didn't like this, and that, what would you do? For sure, you wouldn't turn your back on this person and just say nothing. But exactly that, if you think about it, that happens online, with the only difference that millions or thousands of others are listening towards this conversation or towards the conversation that is actually not happening. So a good sign is, coming back to this point, Italian hoteliers embracing guest feedback. We see a trend that 29% increase in reviews written overall, but also in 32% increase in management responses in Italy. So there is a movement in Italy where I think there are more and more hoteliers are getting it that they should reply to reviews wherever they happen. Now you can, again, slice and dice this. Where are the hoteliers that are most active and where are the hoteliers that are not that active? Surprisingly, Rome has a lot of hoteliers that respond. Bari, not so much. What's the biggest pain point? I mean, maybe it's not surprising, but the reviews tell that. It's actually internet. So If you think about internet, there is a trend that every traveler expects working internet and fast internet wherever they go. It's one of the things that you can more or less easily fix, and it will pay off. So your overall score will go up because that's one of the biggest pain points that we'll still see. And it is a decreasing pain point, or it's an increasing pain point because, as said, there are more and more travelers that expect something and they still don't get it. So they will give negative reviews and negative comments about that topic. Now, we've been talking about reputation monitoring. Obviously, there are tools. Interestingly, what is now that this reputation is pushed out everywhere, you should monitor the reputation and these data points that you see on all these different sites so you can compare and you can really act on the reputation that you see yourself that is out there on the web, be it on a kayak or a Trivago or on a Sabre. Competitor benchmarking, obviously, is very interesting to see. You select as a supplier which are the competitors, and then you benchmark yourself. How good are you? And then you can benchmark on all these different topics. Am I better or worse in the topic internet? What is my ranking? What is my score? How many reviews do I get? Whatever, and on all these different sources. And TripAdvisor is a very important source, but as said, there are different other social media sites and OTAs and meta search out there. Another example, there was a hotel in another conference, and they asked, hey, so I just got 2 negative reviews, what should I do? So I responded to them, but they are still there. So the number one topic, what you could actually do to influence, again, your reputation is to collect more reviews. Right? It's not about like getting less reviews and hope that you only get positive. It's about getting as many reviews as you can. Now, the guest satisfaction surveys that we all know as GSS or et cetera, it's an old school survey. Sometimes hotels even have a little paper still in the room they fill out. I mean, that's so old school, you have to bring it online. And you can collect your own reviews, and it has an influence on the trust score and the meta reviews, or you can push these reviews out to the TripAdvisors and the Googles and the holiday checks. So there are tools where you can distribute reviews and saying, well, 20% of my guests should receive the TripAdvisor survey, and the other 30% should receive that survey. So collect emails and information from your guests and then ask them after they say, ask them about their opinion, and then strategically decide where you want to push these opinion, on which sites you want to push them. And it's a very effective way to increase scores and increase rankings. And then again, monitor everything on one dashboard. There's no need to have one system here that looks at GSS reviews, and one system that looks at Facebook and Twitter, and one system that looks at OTAs and review sites and whatever you call it. It's all user-generated content. It should all be looked at in one dashboard so you can compare your rankings and your ratings. And then once you have collected your reviews, I mean, you could put them on your site. What works for, again, a TripAdvisor, and what works for a kayak, and what works for a Booking.com should work for brand.com as well. You benefit from SEO, and you benefit from higher conversion increases on your site. The battery is dying at the end of the conference. Is it working? Do you see that? Okay. I mean, this is an example of Mövenpick hotels. Again, they integrated this on their site. We've talked about this before. Every site, every hotel on brand.com, Mövenpick has its trust score and has integrated all the reviews that they collected. And then, I mean, we heard about different numbers, what you can actually do and not do. We have studied the same thing. I mean, we know that a 1% increase in trust score on average can increase your ADR by 4.6%. I don't think the percentage, again, is that important because it varies from property to property, from competitor set to competitor set. But what is important to use the signal, I mean, if you think again about monitoring where you rank and monitoring where your competitors are ranked, use the signal as, okay, I'm ranked better, so I improved my reputation. Now I can use the signal to actually increase ADR without losing occupancy. All right, I think that's it. And that's the summary. Get more reviews, monitor, don't fly blind, and use it for marketing. Thank you very much. Mille grazie.
Thank you, Benjamin. I think they're bringing some chairs for us. I'll invite on stage also Valentina Quattro from TripAdvisor. Here she comes. Nella inusuale veste di intervistatrice, per una volta, invece di intervistata. Molto centrale, alla luce, la centrale.
Dove vuoi che mi sieda?
You sit here, Benjamin. I'll sit
Wherever
there.
you want me.
This is my favorite chair.
It's hot here.
It's become mine. So here we are, talking again about reputation, which no, it's not reputation. You said it's influence, which is
It's influence
I like
and
that.
reputation.
I like that. Who start? Valentina.
I start,
it's yours.
okay. So, I mean, today without a good online reputation or a positive influence toward traveler, it's difficult to be successful. So I was wondering if you could tell us, like, which are the main factors that a travel business or a destination, like, for example, you were talking about Milan, and I come from Milan, so I'm a bit concerned because we have Expo in a few time, and which are the actions that Milan or businesses should undertake to increase their online reputation under your point of view?
I think as said with this, when you think about the circle of trust, at the end of the day, there are these three steps, right? One is collect more reviews and encourage travelers, encourage guests to write about you, wherever. So the more the better, is number one. Number two, obviously, if you created that buzz, I mean, you don't want to fly blind because sometimes maybe you created some negative buzz, so you have to act on it. So that's the monitoring piece. And the third piece is about marketing, right? You want the world to know what's happening. You want everyone to know that you have a good reputation, or this hotel has a good reputation, or the destination has a good reputation. So we call it reputation marketing at the end of the day. And I think it's a concept that not everyone has totally embraced yet. So those three steps: collect, analyze, and distribute your reputation.
And how do you stimulate reviews? Like, which are the actions that a business should do to ask the clients to write more reviews about their...
So statistically, the number one review generator in the whole world is GSS. You can take all the reviews together from all the websites, from TripAdvisor to Booking.com, and you wouldn't reach the number that guest satisfaction surveys, and you think about a survey as a review, so guest satisfaction surveys throughout the world would generate. So we were trying to educate the market that everyone should consider a guest survey as a review. And if you think about this, you could actually take these reviews, put it on your site. You can ask these guests to write on TripAdvisor, for example. So you have the big advantage as a supplier. You have a big advantage to have a direct relationship, because wherever they booked, they're all coming to you. Now, you can ask them to provide a good feedback or a feedback at all, and you can use it on all these different channels. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement.
And if you get a negative reviews or more than one, how can you handle them? What is the best way to handle negative reviews and to transform them in the future into positive ones?
I mean, there are two main factors, I think. One is fix your operations. And that starts with, I mean, we hear sometimes we don't have time and we don't have staff and resources. I mean, you're in the business of hospitality, you're in the business of accommodation business. That's your number one job that you should do. So there's no excuse not to have time to provide the best service possible. So fix this. Go every Monday morning, go through all the reviews that were written with your staff and said, hey, if we had a complaint about the cold coffee, let's try to fix that. So it's fixing operations, and the next, and in parallel, obviously, you should respond, as I said before. Don't just be silent and turn your back on your guests, but respond to your guests in a polite way. And there are many good examples, and you guys are educating the market as well how to respond appropriately.
I have a question. As you know, I'm an hotelier too, so I'm not only the organizer of this show, but in the other 363 days of my life, I mainly direct hotels. So doing this kind of job, I mean, managing reputation has become a huge work for all of us. So as you were saying, some are doing better, some are doing less. Don't you think there will be, oh, here she comes. Hello. Don't you think that there should be a person of the staff doing the job? So do every hotels need a reputation manager or a man doing reputation? Hello, Hortensia, how are you?
Hello. Oh, fine, thank you.
It's hard to focus.
Bye-bye.
Well, it's becoming a huge work, but I wouldn't actually. Let me answer like this. What's your number one goal as a hotel? It's like at the end of the day, you want to. Obviously, you want to have money. You want to provide great guest experience, but you want to earn money, right?
Sure, although it's part of
So,
that.
if I would tell you that you can employ one person, and in a year from now you would earn, it's like you get an increase in your margin by 2% because you worked on your reputation, you would do it, right? So there's probably some upfront investment, but it will pay out. So every statistics will tell you it will pay out. And what we heard before on these boutique hotels, I mean, they don't do this like just, after serving breakfast, I work on my reputation. They do this, there's one person or two person or a whole team. That's why they're ranked number one, number two in New York. So, and I'm sure they wouldn't do it if it wouldn't pay out for them on the top line and bottom line for them. So,
you think Facebook will play a good part in this whole influence work?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen Facebook actually, back in the days, they had a review widget. They switched it off for a couple of years. Now they switched it on again. Foursquare started as a, I'm walking in a cafe and I'm telling my friends I'm here. Well, now they're a recommendation engine because all the tips they generated are reviews. So I think we'll see a more and more intense fight about collecting the data from the customer and making better recommendations based on that data that I collected. And I see Facebook as obviously as one of the main players there, and they have the big advantage of the social network, so they can tie a review to an actual user that I might know or that has a profile.
Okay, now I have a nice question that I'm very happy that for the first time I'm asking to someone else and no one asked me, which is, what about fake reviews? If they slip through the system, which I know it's rare.
I've never heard about that.
Do they impact on online reputation? How fake reviews, if they slip through the process, impact on online reputation? Do they have like an important role, or they don't? Or
So I can only respond statistically. So what we did, because we have all the data, so we have TripAdvisor data, we have Booking.com data, we have Google Plus data, we have Yelp data, we have HRS data, Venera data, whatever. So we looked at all these different data points and we said, okay, let's try to find some differences in the scores, for example. And what we realized that above a certain amount of reviews, there are no real differences. So if you would assume that you can't put a fake review on Booking.com, I mean, you could, but it's hard, maybe. So and if the scores would be the same after a certain volume of reviews, then you would say fake review has no impact. And obviously, if you have 5 reviews and then you have 1 fake review, it has an impact. So we only give a trust score above 10 reviews because in a certain time frame, because we again said below 10 and 12 you have a lot of fluctuation for each new review that gets in, and then it stabilizes, and then for more and more reviews again it stays very flat actually, and then it improves only a little bit up and down. So again, if hoteliers would say, what can I do about fake reviews? I would say get more reviews, not fake reviews.
I was concerned.
You
now.
saved her.
Okay, then, I'm sure you know, we recently launched Trip Connect, which is an innovative service. It's like a self-service platform that allows hotels, B&Bs, independent properties to participate to the price comparison, which is the meta search on TripAdvisor, to bring direct reservations on their website. What do you think about this instrument, and how do you see it in the future?
I mean, I told every TripAdvisor person that I met that for TripAdvisor, for sure, it's the smartest move since Facebook Connect. So I think it's a very good, very smart move. For suppliers as well, I mean, it's another sales channel, so it's great news for them. Is it great news for Booking.com? I doubt it, but so there's probably more competition going on, but that's good for the marketplace. So I think it's very good for the supply side, and it's very good for TripAdvisor for sure.
What I'll say something about TripAdvisor. It's my impression. But the impression I got is that in a few years, they might. She's here, but they might become the most important company in travel. It could happen. So now everyone is telling us that Priceline and Booking.com are there. But I think I agree, which is a very smart move, Trip Connect, because obviously as an hotelier, it makes me in the position to disintermediate a bit. I have to spend money anyway, but let's say less than pay a huge commission sometimes to OTAs. So it's my preview. I don't know if it will happen, but they may become
Are you talking about meta
the
search
bigger one,
or a general website?
even general in a few years.
Generally, we already are. Like.
I know you are second.
It's very hard to predict, right? I mean,
Yeah.
TripAdvisor, I constantly also get emails from Philip. Wow, TripAdvisor again. It surpassed 11 billion market share, or now 12 billion, and I'm sure they will get 20 billion in a year or two. But history showed as well that it changes very quickly, right? Everyone now talks about TripAdvisor, which is great company, great, super, and no one talks about really Google really anymore, about a competitor. So I would be very careful. I mean, what you see that Google is now doing with integrating Hotel Finder in local and local in search, and then Facebook coming with their own review game. They have graph search, which is not really right now a destination of POI search, but it's very easy for them to switch it on. I mean, imagine they have Facebook Hotel Finder.
So you say it's a quiet whale. Some they're sleeping, and in 1 minute they can switch it on.
Very easily. Booking.com, phenomenal run, very high market share. So there are always room for improvements. The market share is growing totally, so everyone is growing in the market. So we don't have this problem that there's a shrinking market or a market that is not growing, and everyone takes market share from each other. But so it's a growing market. So I would be very careful in the prediction. I think it will. What I think though is it's going to be harder for startups to actually now launch something that swipes away Booking.com or swipes away TripAdvisor. So this is kind of over. I mean, Philip talked about this as well. I mean, there are trends. Hotel Tonight, a very niche trend. probably good niche or big niche, but it's a trend. So it's going to be harder for the smaller ones. And we'll see the big ones. Apple, we haven't talked about them, right? Apple doesn't have a travel product. They have a Maps product. They are competing with Google on Maps. I mean, they have now integrated Yelp in Maps. I mean, it should be, for them, it is a direct competitive threat that Google has Maps and Google has Android, etc. So I would think maybe Apple will get into the game. We've talked about Amazon. I mean, not really in travel, but Amazon is a very interesting company. They did many things that no one expected that it would do. They sold books, then they sold more, and now they have service. I mean, why not shop a hotel on Amazon? I mean, buy a hotel on Amazon. So I think there's a lot of
same thing coming on then. I have another question, then I'll leave to Valentina. You were at the Travel Innovation Summit in Focusrite, right? You see the company, the Italian company 3P, which was there. How do you think about that being rewarded to make reviews? What do you think of their idea?
I haven't seen the pitch, I have to say, because I wasn't all the time in the summit. I had meetings. I mean, I can just say, A, the Innovation Summit is great. B, it has a lot of exposure. So you're exposed to all these different companies, like every 100 people from TripAdvisor are there, 50 people from Google, whatever. So everyone is looking at these trends and they're making notes. So I think, and then there's, they're even say, well, let's build that, it's a great idea. Or they say, let's acquire that company, it's a great company. So I think for every company, for every startup, to present there is fantastic. So, and the review game is
their idea, of the review game.
very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, great idea. That's why they moved on to the next round. So just applause them. I know how it is. It feels great. I mean, I have to talk to them, but it's a great feeling.
Last question. TripAdvisor has democratized the travel industry. This is one of our key principles, creating a level playing field for travel businesses to reach travelers, regardless their size or their budget, because it's free. It's a free tool. I've read that, and I know that Trusty does the same in a way, not taking into account the star ratings, but let's say basing the ratings on the quality. I was wondering if stars and bubbles for us and your rating coincide or they don't. Like, do you see like there's a major difference between the star ratings and your ratings?
So you're talking about star ratings in terms of, is it 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel? Yeah. And your bubbles and our trust score?
Exactly. I mean, is there discrepancies or there are?
I'm not sure if I get the question, but there's obviously, if you have a 4-star hotel, you can have a very bad score on TripAdvisor or on Trust You. And there's a 5-star hotel, you can be excellent, or a 3-star hotel that can be better than a 5-star hotel. So it's not really, and we see that in the trends that people are not really going to book because of a 4 or a 5-star hotel. It's and every statistic shows that. So they are booking because you have a very great score, a great ranking, and that's why, for example, in Germany, Switzerland, and other countries, we're working with the star rating organizations to take, for example, Trust You data or user-generated content data into the star rating process, so that, for example, in Switzerland, in next year, you can't get a 4-star plus hotel if you don't have a certain trust score. So you will see those two concepts merging together, and if the star rating want to survive as a concept, they have to embrace concepts like TripAdvisor, bubbles, or trust scores.
Bene. Ladies and gentlemen, Benjamin Jost from Trust You.
Thank you.
Valentina 4 di TripAdvisor, grazie, è stato un grande piacere.
Grazie a te.
Grazie a voi. Dov'è Ortensia? Dov'è Ortensia? Ortensia? Eh? We do the picture, yes. Valentina, we do the picture. What is the... Grazie.
In mezzo. Tengo io.
It is me.
Where's the picture?
Where's
Who's taking the picture?
Who's taking the picture?
No one's taking a picture.
Where are the photographs? They are over there. Someone over there. We got some picture. Attenzione.